First question is, how dedicated to thoracic extension mobility are you? Peanut of death? Wheel? Post. Okay, Cole, and anybody else who's interested, one of the other things that you guys can do is, as part of the warm-up, Cole, I think I've linked it to you before, kind of the Chris Duffin warm-up, where you, it's actually not about stretching and mobility so much as it is getting certain motor pathways or engrams or whatever you want to call it turned on. And first thing I'm going to do is the kettlebell goblet squat, but one development on that is what's called kettlebell halo. What that does is makes you engage all of those stabilizers in the bottom of that squat. Two keys with the goblet squat: make sure your hips are tucked under before you drop, get that pelvis neutral. Not all extended like I always am at the top of my squat, and also as you engage to come up, make sure that you're engaging your glutes from the bottom. So that's that, just a couple of those. I'd obviously do more of them, but for time's sake, let's skip to the next thing. Okay, and this one Chris Duffin calls the hip airplane. It looks kind of like a stretch, like you're trying to open your hips up, and you can do a little bit of that, but what it's really about is as you bring yourself back down, as you rotate internally on your hip, it's about making sure that you're firing that glute to perform that movement. So it looks like this. Like I said, you're using this to pull down. And obviously like 10 to 20 of those, whenever you'll start to feel your that posterior chain gotta get a pump and get engaged, and then you recheck your goblet squat, and adductors, all that stuff should be on and firing in your. Okay, since I'm kind of trying to show a video on how I go heavy, I'll cover my warm-up, which I just got done with, and then I'll record my work sets, most of them anyway. Today is 405, 425, and then 435 for 3. 435 is supposed to be a 3+, which is an AMRAP. Not even sure that I'll get it once. I'm not sure how I'll feel about going this heavy. And then that's supposed to be followed by singles at 445, 455, and 455 again. Again, no idea. We'll see how it feels, but probably not going that heavy. What I wanted to cover though was how I warm up to heavy stuff like this. Kurt kind of went over it months ago, and I pretty much do the same exact thing. Today, since I'm starting with triples, I'm not on my warm-up sets. I'm not going to go over 3 reps, and I just go by wheels: 135, 225, 315, and basically my rule of thumb is I'm going to do triples or 5s or whatever the case may be, as long as that wouldn't be what I consider taxing. Once I get to 365 for 3 might take a little bit out of me, so I'm only going to do a single at 365, and then before I jump into at 405, depending on how I feel, I may or may not do a single at 385. Today I did, but again, what makes the decision for me as far as how many reps to do is I want to make sure that those sets are not taxing, and as long as they're not taxing, I'll do whatever my work reps are, basically 3 or 5. I usually won't go above 5 on it regardless, as far as warm-up goes. So that's it. Let's start squatting. Okay, so after about 10 minutes that it took to switch over to a power rack because I'm tired of dumping it, we're up to singles, 445, and we'll see what happens after that. Okay, never done this before, but I had to use a little bit heavier band, so what the hell. That's 495 minus the bands. Okay, I just did 2 sets of 3 walkouts with 495 and then 545. 545 I could barely walk. There's no way I'm going to record that and make you watch it. I'm sure you understand how that works. So what we're going to do now are just bottom holds. Try and get as close as I can to maybe a little bit below parallel. First with 475 and then hopefully with 495, depending on how that goes. Attempting like 10 seconds of an isometric hold. And this could be a disaster, but I'm going to try 495. Not sure how I'm going to get it down there, but we'll see what happens. No brakes. And that's it. We hope you've enjoyed this production of RVP squatting tips, and we've got a lot of cutting to do, so I'm going to go home and drink about 100 grams of protein, pass out, and hopefully get this edited before you guys get to the gym.